Good afternoon everyone, welcome back to another video. This afternoon I am out in the garden and I'm surrounded by a bunch of plants. You can't really see them in the frame, but I'll do an overlay. And it is a gorgeous afternoon this afternoon, so I thought that I would come outside and get planting as many of these as I can while we have really great weather around us. I feel like my last few videos have been a little bit slow, not sad, but just kind of reflective on what was happening, which was very slow in the garden. But I want to really pick the pace up a little bit as spring is definitely on its way and I have lots of plants that I need to get in the ground. So this afternoon I'm going to be prioritizing mainly Australian native plants out in the back garden, and a lot of these I'm going to be using for foliage for a lot of the arrangements and bouquets that I'm planning on. These will take a little bit of time to grow, but I need to obviously get them in the ground as soon as I can for them to be able to grow. And I thought I would just take you on this afternoon on a little bit of a planting vlog, and first of all just run through really quickly what I have here and what I'm going to be planting today. I'll get as much as I can done now, but if not I'll carry it over into another day. Alright, first of all I have a viburnum snowball tree. This is not an Australian native obviously, but I think it's the only one out of these that isn't. Those are the flowers that this plant has. It grows to about 3 meters to 4 meters tall by 3 meters wide. They're really popular because of their beautiful snowball flowers that they get, kind of like a hydrangea, although they do get a lot larger than hydrangeas. They're also deciduous, which I think is going to provide a lot of beautiful interest and colour, and I'm going to be planting this where I can see it from my office window and the downstairs window, right in this little space here between the oleanders. I absolutely hate oleanders, but these ones here are a beast to get out. They are so big, and I'm going to have to get professional help to get those out of the way, so I'm just saving up a little bit of money for that, seeing what we can do with those. The sap on them is just really poisonous and they tend to give me a little bit of asthma when I'm around them, so I want them gone. But in the meantime, in the spots where I have free right now, I want to plant some plants so that they have time to grow up. So first of all I'm going to be planting this one, and it's just going to look super pretty in this space. The other plants that I have two different Baronias. This one is purple Jared. This one here grows to 1.5 meters tall and 1 meter wide. Really pretty flowers, and also really gorgeous wispy foliage that is just super pretty and is going to look really beautiful in bouquets and arrangements. All of these will tolerate light frost, and a lot of these will also handle heavy clay and boggy soil. In particular the viburnum, they do well in that kind of soil, which is great for us because that's what we have at the moment. I also have mega stigma Baronia, this one here. Again, similar kind of foliage, just a little bit different flowers. This one grows to about 1 meter by a meter, and this can also be trimmed, and I can actually see a lot of flowers already popping out or going to bloom on this. This one blooms in winter and spring, so hopefully we'll get to see some blooms on that. I also have two Christmas bushes. These are kind of a must-have for growing for foliage, for arrangements. They have just beautiful red and dark green foliage. These are going to go back in the back garden on one of the fences. These are suitable for heavy clay soil, again, which is what we have, and also have really beautiful red flowers on there. And these grow to about 3 to 5 meters high, it said, but I'm going to be trimming this, so it's probably not going to get that big. And then I've got some plants from Whitbird Environmental, who I do work with, and I have a discount code always in my description box if you'd like any veggie seeds or plants as well. These ones are native to my local area, so I know they're going to grow well, and every plant that I've had from Whitbird Environmental is growing really well. Granted, it hasn't been pulled out by birds down the back because we have some swamp hens that have graced us with their presence, because it's just so muddy back down there that some of the plants did get pulled out, but that's okay, we can replace them. I've got a coastal rosemary here, I've got a few of these around in the garden and they have been doing really well. And then I have another little tube stock of those, and then I have 4 of some leptospermums. I can't quite remember the scientific name for these, but this is a burgundy leptospermum, grows to about 3 meters tall or so, has really gorgeous flowers. I'll put a photo up on the screen of what these look like, and these tolerate heavy clay / boggy soils, so these are going to go down in the back garden as well. Right, I don't know how much I'm going to get planted today, but maybe I'll have a little bit of help later. Scott might join me, we'll see. But I'm going to plant the viburnum first and then work on the rest of them. So for the viburnum, the snowball bush, I've already kind of moved the grass aside with a mattock, and then I'm going to be using a fence, what is it called? A pincer post hole digger, like a hole digger for fence posts, to dig the soil. That's just what I am finding works the best right now, just to get into the kind of clay layout, just break it up a little bit and then plant all of the plants in the holes. I've also got some worm castings that I'm going to add in the hole, and depending on if I think it needs it, a little bit of potting mix. And then after I'm finished planting them all, I'm going to come through with some cardboard and place them around the plants, and then put mulch over the cardboard to block off the grass, because the grass is going to be competing with all of these trees that I'm going to be planting, which is the struggle when you've got, you know, lawn everywhere. But I'm slowly getting rid of it in the garden, and the cardboard is my best friend right now. Actually probably one of the driest areas of the garden. Still fairly moist. So you can see this plant really isn't that big, but I want to be breaking up the soil around where I'm going to be planting it, and that's just going to allow the roots to really be able to grow a lot quicker in this soil, rather than just being confined to the area that I've dug for the little pot. So I'm going to just dig a little hole. And as I said earlier, my fertilizer of choice is worm casting, so I'm just going to grab about a handful that big to put in the bottom of the hole. There may be some seeds in here, but that's why I'm putting it at the very base rather than sprinkling it around on top, so hopefully they don't germinate. Making sure that the pot is in line with the soil. This one is just a little bit too low. This is particularly important for now because I don't want the plant sitting too low and then it filling up with water. So I want it to be nice and elevated. Should be fine. Picking which position I want it to be, I can see that there's 2 stems coming out this side, so I want it facing like that so that it's going to branch out in this direction, and then filling the hole in. Alright, and then after I've planted everything else all at once, I will come and put cardboard all around this and then give it a good mulch, because all of this grass will grow back if I don't do that. You can also see I've planted the root ball just slightly a little bit raised up, and that's because when I do put all of the mulch on, it is going to be a little bit higher. So I want this to not get completely sopping wet.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby,
It seriously makes me so happy to see blue sky. So happy. Okay, so this fence behind me is my garden that I'm really focusing on at the moment to just get things planted. I've already planted a bunch and done a few other videos on what I have planted in this area, but generally what I like to go for is native Australian plants in this area, ones that can handle wet and boggy soil, because seems to be where a lot of the water is flowing down the property along kind of this fence line down to the very back area, and also things that are going to look pretty in arrangements, so have nice foliage or flowers, and also things that grow fast because I'd like them sooner than later. So I think first I'm going to pick out the plants that are the largest and focus on where I think they want to go, because I need to focus on how big they're going to get so that I can fit in all of the smaller ones around them. A lot of these plants that I'm planting are a little bit bigger, but if you are after trying to save a bit of money, or you're on a bit of a budget, buying tube stock like this size here is definitely the way to go. You can pick these up for a few dollars, and asking around at like local land care groups or native restoration groups is always a good idea, because they always have some, and often they're more than happy to help you get your native garden established. So yeah, definitely go for tube stock if you are short on money, or if you are planting out a really large area. These are the way to go, because then they can grow and actually establish in your own soil conditions, rather than bringing something else in that has been grown and cultivated in a completely different area. Often tube stock is a really great way to go. Alright. So this one here is one of the leptospermums, so these grow pretty tall. I am going to really contain their height though to just be the size of the fence, but I'm planting these 4 first, just so that I have a good idea of where I want them to be. Adding some worm castings into the bottom. There's already quite a few worms in here, which is good to see, and then just planting them in. This one's a little bit difficult because I actually had cardboard already laid over grass here and mulch. So I'm just going to dig a hole using this fence post and then fill it in with soil, because I want to keep the grass covered as much as possible. Worm castings. Alright, that is all of the leptospermum, the burgundy ones, in the ground. Planted 4 along the fence here, and I think they're all going to be really happy where they are. Eventually all of this will just be cardboarded and mulched, so there won't be grass anywhere here. And the leptospermums are really fast growing, so hopefully they will grow up really quickly and shade the grass, which will also help to kill it off over time. Next I'm going to plant the 2 begonias, which are a little bit shorter, so I'm going to bring them further away from the fence so that they are a little bit more visible than the taller shrubs, and then figure out where I want to plant the Christmas bushes, I think. Alright, I have finished planting all of the plants that I wanted to, apart from one of the coastal rosemaries. It's just a little bit too wet where I want to put this one in the ground. Sorry about the cockatoos in the background, they're the ones squawking like that, having the time of their life this afternoon. But I am an absolute muddy mess right now, and I've made a mess, but I have all of the plants that I wanted to plant in the ground. I'll do a quick little run through of where I put them, but it's really going to become my dream garden, really. I absolutely love planting Australian native plants, and these ones are going to look so beautiful in this area. But I would love to know, what is your favourite Australian native plant? I definitely can't go past the leptospermums, or thryptomene also is super beautiful, but there's just so many, so I would love to know what are your favourites in the comments down below. Or if you're not from Australia, then what are your favourite native plants wherever you live in the world? Alright, really quick walkthrough. We have one of the burgundy leptospermums here, and one of the coastal rosemaries here, the really deep purple reddy beronia here, another leptospermum in there. And you can see this is how I'm going to be mulching all of this area, just with cardboard and then overlaying it with mulch or seagrass, whatever I can really get my hands on. I also planted one of the other leptospermums in here, and then down the back here I have one of the other beronia and another leptospermum. Across the other side of the garden I planted some of the Christmas bushes. So I planted one just in here, and then another at the top. Alright, I might wrap this video up here. Sorry about all the squawking. The lorikeets are probably peeking the microphone. Not much I can do about that, but I hope you enjoyed today's video. Maybe gave you some inspiration to look into some of the native plants in your area, or just get outside and enjoy some nice weather if you're lucky enough to have that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye.